We're live. We're up and running.
We are, although we might not be on that one. We're
live. We're live across all cameras. So
all platforms.
Awesome. And how to improve cash flow. This is a topic that we often are speaking about, directly or indirectly. And, it's just something that business owners need to be on top of. And let's talk about that as a key point. The first question I would ask our audience who are listening or watching this today, are you aware of what your cash flow situation is compared to what's in your bank account? There's budgeting and all the cash flow forecasts. So let's get to basics. Do you actually understand the difference and the rhythms of your cash flow?
Yeah, it's funny. Well, hey, I guess I have this conversation nearly every day. But I did have a quite reasonable conversation, with an acquaintance on the weekend who I spent a few hours with, and I think his situation was that as a business owner, he does struggle to sleep at night. Like sleeping is a thing, which is a very common theme with a lot of business owners. Sleeping at night is difficult for him because his mind's racing, and I said, and what does that to do with it? And it was cash flow. So it's great that we're talking about that.
Topical, yes.
And his is not necessarily in a bad way. His is about he's in a high growth business, and it's a business that's heavily in demand right now, and has been for I guess the last 2 or 3 years particularly. So it's high growth. And so the cash flow is always a struggle because the growing
it brings its complexities.
Got to keep throwing that in. And so the discussion we had is I said, well, you need to get your dashboard set out.
Yes,
you need to know
management report.
You need to know, what's causing the cash flow. What's the peaks and troughs in there?
Yeah, what's the stressor?
Where do they get? Because there's normally a lot of financial options out there to be able to, smooth out those troughs. We're talking about, if cash flow is an issue, we're talking, about, those negatives through from month to month or week to week, where there simply isn't enough cash coming in to pay all those bills. And, there's a number of things you can do internally within the business and how you manage your debtors and creditors around that. But there's also a bunch of financial solutions, not just tier one banks, but there's second tier, third tier lenders that provide a lot of solutions, from short-term cash lending through working capital lending, through to other forms of things like trade finance, invoice financing, and those kind of things. Now those are much more difficult to try and obtain if you don't understand where your business is at.
I was going to say that it's great that we've got fixes, but the business owner's got to do the homework to actually know what the cash flow rhythms, tricks, peaks and troughs are. Have a plan, be really clear, because you're talking about borrowing, and so, these lenders are going to be determining what level of risk they're going to be exposed to, in other words, how they're going to get paid back. So you need to do the work to be really clear about what are the ebbs and flows of your cash flow. But, what does a business plan look like? What's the strategy look like? Where are you taking it so that you can give your lender the confidence that you are a good risk?
And I mean, you also need, you need to create the dashboard because you need to know how much you need. See, you can go to these, whichever these lenders are, and ask for an amount. But do you know really what you need?
Yes.
And I think sort of my experience is most businesses that are requiring some kind of cash injection, working capital injection, it's whatever the founder, the owner thinks that they need is normally twice as much as what the business really needs.
And the type of funding, right? So some people might think, I just need a capital injection, but maybe what they need is a different type of facility.
Yeah, well, a more affordable one, because it's easy to go to these working capital lenders. Very, very easy. Very, very easy to go get some lending that way. But that comes at a cost. Exactly. And if you're an established business, as the acquaintance was that I was speaking to over the weekend, if you've been going for a bunch of years, then, getting your invoice factoring or your trade finance is a far cheaper solution.
Absolutely. And a really quick solution is actually managing your debtors in
Correct.
that.
Back into the business.
Right in it. What are the terms you're offering? If you're offering 30 days, well, why, if you need it, why is it 7? Why isn't there an incentive to pay up front?
Yeah.
There's some things you can do inside the business, as you said, that won't be at a high interest rate. There can be some simple solutions to follow it up. Like, don't rely on Xero or whatever system you use to send the automatic reminder.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone.
Yep. I even advise, hey, especially with accounts that are known to be slower payers, even ring them a couple of days before it's due. Like, the due is supposed to be the tail end of it. Due isn't the day that you start to think about paying it. Due is when it's due. Yeah. So that's, if you've got coming up to a long weekend or a big public holiday like a Christmas or an Easter or something like that, and is due through that time, ring a few days before and say, hey, look, you've got your 30-day account coming up. Hey, our records show that you're on average 40, like Xero does this, great.
Yes.
It's like you're an average of 45 or 47 or 63 days to pay. But we could really do with getting this in before, or at least on the due date, not after. And I don't, as long as it's done in a nice and cordial way, like, hey, does our business provide, all the things you need? Do you provide it on time? And hey, you've got to make sure you do.
Yes, make the service is there.
But we'd really appreciate the reciprocal, being that, you can, we've got Christmas coming up or Easter coming up. Could you get that payment in on the Thursday before we go into the public holiday weekend? So that then it starts to show up through
exactly, because we've experienced, particularly in Queensland, 3 long weekends in a row. That can really bugger up your cash flow if it was due on the Monday, etc., or the Friday, as in Easter, and you're going to be waiting those extra days, and that could be really critical for your business. So if you've got
payroll straight out the other end of it, or whatever. Right. So let's step back here. So really, the key to starting to solve these cash flow concerns is building your dashboard. You need to have it, as the owner of the business, the person that's ultimately responsible for running the business. If you're an owner operator, you are the manager that's in the business. You need to build the dashboard around, what's the outstanding debtors and creditors, what's your revenue look like, what's your ongoing margins look like, both at gross profit level and net profit level. What's the expenses? How do they fluctuate? What's the percentage of your expenses to your revenue? And how can you improve these things? But also on the back of that, you need to have a cash flow forecast. And I'm not just talking about week by week. I'm talking about getting a cash flow forecast out for the financial year ahead. Having a 12-month, and I would say a rolling 12-month financial forecast. Cash flow forecast. So that you can really see where those troughs are coming in.
Yeah, it's a bit like your crystal ball into your business, because you've got some historical data potentially to extrapolate across what the future is going to look like. And again, we often have spoken about the modelling. So that modelling is the next level. Is that if turnover goes down or if turnover increases exponentially, what's it going to do to your bottom line? What's your cash flow going to look like? And that just gives you a heads up, for want of a better word, as to what's going to happen to your bank account. And so that gives you the heads up of, wow, right, I now need to start having conversations with some lenders, the investors we've got, whatever it is, or getting some sales out there, putting a marketing campaign to get some more sales in. That gives you the forewarning of what's going to go on in your business. Now, not to say it's going to actually happen, but prepare for it.
Well, and it gives you the chance to look back and reflect on where you are in the business. Is the growth of the business, is the market demand beyond what you can handle as a single sole business or owner of your business? Perhaps you need to look at expanding or getting more shareholders in the business. Maybe those shareholders aren't in it, but maybe they're not executive in the business, but maybe they're just investors in it. Or maybe you need a business partner in there, but maybe you need additional equity in the business to be able to grow this to what its potential is. So we can get bogged down, this is my business and I just want to work for myself. But if you've got the ability or the potential there to grow, you want to be able to harness that.
Yeah.
You know, that's what's going to get you to the next level. And sometimes you've got to have other people in there. You can't be too proud of, I want to be the 100% owner. You know, hey, maybe it is that you need to be 50% or 33% or 25% or 20% is the answer to get the additional equity in the business. So then you can go and grow it. You get your dashboard right. You can make sure you got your cash flow forecast right. You've got everything covered to get that growth, and you can go back to sleeping at night.
Well, that's important, right? So there's a whole bunch of tools that you can access through our shop. So if what we're talking about resonates and going, oh, well, where do I get that dashboard from that you keep talking about? Well, it's available in the financial tools on the website, and off the top of my head, it's around $100 maybe, because there's a cash flow forecast in there. There's a modeling document in there. There's the management report. So if you want some quick wins, go to our website, noviga8biz.com, and you can download them immediately and make them your own.
Yep.
And embedded in them is how to fill them in. So win-win.
If you need more help around that, then come and jump into one of our courses, particularly the Biz Boot Camp, where we take over 56 days. We completely give you all the skills and capability to be able to do that. We work with you week in, week out across 8 weeks to get, not just the dashboard, but every other aspect of your business as well.
Yeah.
So don't forget about the Biz Boot Camp. Jump into that at navigatebiz.com and
YouTube.
Yes, 1,000 subscribers. We're still on the march for 1,000 subscribers.
Like and subscribe. And click on the bell button so that you
tell
know
all your
when
friends.
We are live. And yes, please tell your friends, as we know what we bring you is relevant every day. So, this is your little top up that you need in business, and you can listen and watch this at any time. So can't wait to see you. When are we back next?
Thursday.
We'll see you then.
Have a good day, everybody.
See ya.